Hello, welcome to Comic Tropes. I'm your host, Chris. And dear viewer, today it's going to be a little bit of a different episode. I have in the past analyzed a lot of comic books. That is not what we're doing today. We're not looking at a writer or an artist or a piece of comic book history, but I will be looking at something to do with superheroes in an episode appropriate for the Christmas season. It isn't something I've done every year, but in the past, every once in a while, I will look at a Christmas episode or special, a TV show. We've looked at everything from Ninja Turtles to Rambo to RoboCop. This year, I had to look a little further out. But I think I found a bizarre Christmas episode that we should all know about. Today, we're going to the land of the rising sun. We are going to Japan to look at episode 45 of a show called Ninja Sentai Kakuranger. Let me give you some background on that first, and then we'll get neck deep in Santa Claus. Remember to hit like and subscribe, and all that other jazz. Let's get into it. Ninja Sentai Kakuranger was the 18th season of the live-action Japanese tokusatsu show Super Sentai, which followed young adults or teenagers that got themed superhero powers. Obviously, this season is ninja-themed, and it originally aired throughout 1994. That should help you understand why the Red Ranger, Sasuke, is dressed like he's going to a Nirvana concert. Or maybe it would be more appropriate to say that he's going to a Shonen Knife concert, since that was a Japanese grunge band that toured with Nirvana in the 90s. The leader of the team is the teenage Tsuruhime, the White Ranger, who comes from a long line of ninjas and is a bit of a rich snob. Saizo is the Blue Ranger and is a bit of a goofball. Seikai is the Yellow Ranger, and he's into video games, girls, and food. And there's Jiraiya, the Black Ranger, who actually is from America and often speaks in English.
What's your name?
Finally, there's the team's ally, this weirdo here named Ninja Man. He's a complete moron and a klutz, but he's really good at martial arts and has a ton of superpowers that we'll get to see later in this episode. I'm just going to put something out there. I am not much of an expert on the American adaptation, Power Rangers. I just don't know a whole lot about that. I'm not going to really be making any comparisons between the two shows or talking about the American version at all. For that, why not check out Linkara's reviews? But I'm almost positive that this particular episode wasn't adapted, at least not in full, because it would probably cause the children here in America to have instantaneous strokes when they see how Santa is portrayed. You might have a seizure or stroke too, so that's your fair warning. And let's get on with a Ninja Christmas. Before the show begins, of course, there's the opening credits. They're a blast, and I'd love to share the full song with you because it's sincerely catchy. But that would definitely get this video copyright claimed. That said, this show is free over on Tubi, but you know what I can do? I can talk about the lyrics. There's something special. They go, "The bridge is lit up. That's a diamond adventure to another dimension. Mysteries are here and there. Show us how to link them, secret Kakuranger." Okay, kind of poetic, talking about the two different worlds, and the theme of this show is not just ninjas, but ancient yokai, or mythical monsters, that hide in this world. Got it. It continues. "At nightfall, I am finally alone with that girl. At that moment, sudden wind blows through. Someone brushes by us as we jump in surprise and vanish into a black hole. What was that? What was that? Ninja, ninja, ninja." This is not really a song about a battle between good and evil. It's about being on a date and some pervert ninja brushes by a couple that's trying to have some time together. Cool. The episode's story begins with a super loud cuckoo clock going off, but apparently that doesn't wake anybody up. We see a hand go to a door while a child is sleeping. Who is this creep? A ninja? Apparently not, as it steps on a cat and that howl does wake up the child in the room, who screams in justified terror at the intruder. In this world, the Ninja Rangers are just driving around in their van at night and happen to be in this neighborhood. When you combine the song lyrics and the fact that these guys are just driving around neighborhoods at midnight, it's starting to make me think that ninjas are just weirdos creeping on normal people. This gang of 5 quickly take down their opponent, who turns out to be a little boy. What heroes. This kid says his name is Little Santa, and he adds that he is a child of Santa Claus. Now, of course, no one believes Little Santa. I mean, the ninja superheroes who run around beating up literal monsters, they grow to giant size, they have giant robots. They cannot fathom that Santa Claus could also be real. Suppose you had captured a home invader claiming to be a child of Santa. What would you do next? Would you turn him over to the police? Maybe call Child Protective Services? Or would you take the kid back into the house that he broke into with the scared family and interview him? Because the Rangers do that last one. Little Santa pours presents out on the floor, arguing for his defense that he was just trying to deliver presents for Christmas. The Rangers point out that it's still only the 23rd, and Little Santa admits that he got that one wrong. I'm sure training to be Santa is a unique job, but even so, most of us look at our work schedules pretty carefully, and it's really not that hard when you only have one work day a year. The young boy that lives at this house, Toshio, opens up one of the presents before Little Santa can take them all away, which almost feels like stealing. But there's no time to consider that, because inside there isn't a toy or even boring old socks. It's a centipede, which leaps onto Toshio's arm and bites him, becoming a tattoo and knocking him out. That centipede is legit creepy. Maybe that's just me, but I think that bugs that jump out and bite you make for terrible presents at Christmas time. It might have gone over better over in the Ukraine or parts of Germany, where they actually do have a legend of a Christmas spider, and they make spiderweb ornaments for their trees. But they're not there, are they? Sasuke rips open another gift, and sure enough, there's more centipedes. But he's ready, and he kills them with ninja stars, which is honestly a boss move. Little Santa runs away screaming that he didn't do it. The Rangers chase after this kid, and that must have been a long chase that they were quite bad at, because we next see Little Santa during the daytime, and he's able to get to his car, which is parked in the middle of the city. But before the little child can drive the car, he is grabbed by the true villain of this episode, a monster that looks like an American football player. Before he can kill Little Santa, the Rangers finally catch up, transforming into ninja superheroes. They also do cute little somersaults, which seems wildly unnecessary, and I kind of like that. The world is better with somersaults. So this monster is a yokai named Omokare, which is a real bit of Japanese mythology. That was a giant centipede that lived in the mountains and preyed on people as well as dragons, giant serpents. Very creepy. So why is Omokare presented as an American football player? I can't say for sure. This is just me trying to reason it out. But you've got a centipede if you're going to use the mythology. And a centipede has a lot of legs. Well, what do you do with legs? You use them to run, you use them to kick a ball. Well, the show had actually already done a soccer-themed episode back in episode 21, apparently. So maybe this time they just went with American football to be different? That is my sincere best guess, because football does not tie into this story or the characters. There's no theme. I can't figure out why football is involved in a Christmas story in Japan. Omokare has a football that he kicks, and it can ricochet and hit each of the Rangers. Then he steals Little Santa's car, and then it teleports away. I promise you that in that sequence of events, I could never predict what was about to happen next, including what actually happens next. The Rangers take little Santa to a theme park and go on rides, even though they talk about how dangerous it is that Omukade took Santa's car and is probably going to what they call Santa World. And then eventually they tell little Santa that they'll all go there, which they do in the Rangers' yellow van, and apparently it can fly. Okay? It can just fly. They call it Nekomaru, their cat van. I'm sure that the show established this ages ago, and there's probably some sort of reason why their car can fly, but for now, let us all just enjoy the absurdity of a show in which these superheroes, who also have access to flying robots, also have a flying van. And then, while they fly through the sky, Ninja Man notices them because he's flying in the area on a cloud, kind of like the Monkey King of legend. He says, "I'm going with you guys. I always wanted things called a Christmas present." Like I said, you can never guess what is about to happen next on this show. We get a quick scene where Okamade reports to his boss, a big yokai with glasses. The plan is to infect the entire world with centipedes in gifts, which Santa will deliver in 4 hours, and then they can control everyone. Now, I appreciate this. It increases the stakes of the episode. We understand what the danger is. It gives us a bit of a ticking clock to race against as well. In Kakuranger, Santa lives in a giant castle up in the North Pole, although there isn't any snow there for some reason. Global warming in the 90s? Maybe. And it's full of tons of employees who are all dressed up like Santa, while they do things like groundskeeping and hold rock concerts for one another. If you're okay with dressing up the same every day, it really doesn't seem like such a bad job. The Ninja Rangers sneak into the castle, but they're instantly surrounded by Santa Claus guards, who won't listen to their warnings, and they attack. But the Rangers know what to do, throwing their clothes into the sky. And sure, that may sound inappropriate, but they seem to have changed into Santa disguises somehow while in the middle of a fight, and they just run past armies of Santas chasing after them in the confusion. In my favorite moment from this show, the Ninja Rangers sneak into the castle and hide amongst other Santas in a movie theater. And they're watching a show called Santa Sentai. I have no joke that could top their own. That's just funny. But before we get to see more of that awesome show, the real Santa transmits a warning that the castle has been invaded and that the Rangers are there, so the Rangers have to keep running around the castle trying to escape the Santas. The Santa army is about to head out to deliver gifts for the evening, and little Santa begs them to stop getting bitten by a centipede while doing so. And it's kind of charming how the army of Santas all really like little Santa, and it shows they're just obeying Santa, not infected themselves. The Rangers run into Santa's den to confront him, calling him Omukade. But this Santa has powers. He shoots freeze breath at them, then uses telekinesis to grab one of the Rangers. You know, like Santa's always doing in our songs and in our specials. Sasuke hits Santa with a ninja throwing star to the chest, and Santa drops, screaming that it hurts. Then, while Sasuke tries to rip his beard off, the Rangers notice Santa has a centipede tattoo. He is controlled. That's not Omukade in disguise. I love that Sasuke hit Santa and tries to rip off his disguise like Austin Powers.
That's not your mother, it's a man, baby! Yeah! Yeah! Come on! Why?
So, where is Omukade? Apparently, he's in disguise as one of the Santas, and he sneaks out with a bag of presents. And if you've been wondering where Ninja Man was, he is so stupid that he's blindly following along because he thinks he'll get a Christmas present for the first time if he helps. Ninja Man flies off, driving Nekomaru, but the Rangers chase after them on their flying crane robot and confront them in a conveniently empty rock quarry. The Rangers warn Ninja Man that he's hanging out with Okamade. And get this, the van apparently is sentient because it shakes around and tosses out both Okamade and Ninja Man. Flying cat-themed vans are smarter than I expected. I'm just going to put that out there. So now it is basically the point in every one of these episodes where there's a huge fight scene. You get it every time. And don't get me wrong, it's still a lot of fun. The outfits, the gigantic fights, the explosions, it's a blast. This part always works. Omokade has special themed powers, by the way, like centipede missiles. I'm really not sure what makes them centipede themed, to be honest. And he kicks his special football at them again, but the Rangers also have a special football that they kick at Omokade. It forces him to fight back by now growing into a giant. There is a super fast assembly scene where the Rangers merge their animal-themed robots into a gigantic robot. I expected that, but having not seen this show before, I wasn't expecting that Ninja Man can also just grow gigantic if he wants to, which he does. There's a few punches, and then Omokade calls Ninja Man a novice. Now apparently, this is considered a massive insult, because Ninja Man gets so angry that he transforms into Samurai Man, and then together the good guys just blow up Omokade.
Merry Christmas!
That was so much escalation in just a few minutes. Thank God none of these Rangers ever got into politics, because they would have escalated traffic infractions into nuclear war. We see a quick wrap-up of the Santas sending out gifts in their little cars, and the Rangers cleaning up around their van, which it seems was actually a food truck this whole time. But we aren't done. You thought we were done. We're not done. There's a good chance that you may have seen the dance numbers on the show Peacemaker. They're pretty fun and cool, right? They do not hold a candle, a Christmas candle, to how Kakuranger ends. Over the closing credits, the show gives you a catchy song and an army of yokai warriors do a synchronized dance number until the Rangers show up and chase them in motorcycles. And then the show ends, by the way, with an ad for the next episode, which will apparently feature a yokai that traps the Rangers inside a manga. Man, this show is doing everything right to get me to want to keep watching it. Like I said, Tubi is free and it has the entire show on it. I was very amused by this show's take on Santa. A guy with an army dressed like him that he sends out in teleporting cars to deliver presents. He has superpowers like freeze breath. It is very different. I'll give it that. And then to give us a centipede who plays football as an enemy, that's a bold choice. I didn't get to know the individual Rangers very well in this episode, but I got a sense of the show's tone. It's intentionally campy, and if it only had a few more Christmas decorations or foods represented, it may have become a bit of a classic. So, if you celebrate Christmas, I hope you get to spend some time with your loved ones and get some great food. If you're in Japan, that means you should have already put in your order at KFC for your bucket of chicken. That is a real custom, by the way, in Japan. So maybe one year we'll get a Super Sentai Christmas show with an evil Colonel Sanders. What's that? Colonel Sanders beat people up in court and killed a man with a gun over a land dispute? Okay, maybe we'll get a Super Sentai Christmas show with an even more evil Christmas version of Colonel Sanders. Merry Christmas, everybody. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon. Until next time, keep reading comics. Bye. If you're watching this, it means I was able to edit some sort of a version of the show that got past any weird copyright claims. So that is a victory. Hey, you want to give me a Christmas present? How about one that would also give you a present? You can support this show on Patreon, and if you do that, at the $2 and above tiers, you get a free episode every month. So, less than the cost of a single comic book, you can support this show, and you get something out of it. Just something to consider. I hope you guys have great holidays. The next thing I guess I'll have to do is put together a top 10 list of the year. Yeah, there have been a lot of great comics throughout 2025, to be honest. That's going to be a little tough to put together. But I also have a bunch of artists and writers that I really want to dig deep into, and some weird bits of just history around comic books, like some true crime stuff. That would be interesting. Got a lot of people that I was a fan of in the late 80s into the early 90s that are still doing tremendous work. I'm thinking of guys like Doug Mahnke that I want to do at some point. I still need to do an episode about Alan Davis, and there's tons of manga. I just did a Christmas episode set in Japan, but there's a lot of manga that I would love to talk about. Shigeru Mizuki is incredibly important. I've got stuff to say about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and plenty more. Thanks so much. You guys have made this year very special for me. I appreciate all the kindness and the kind words and the support. It means a lot to me. Happy holidays. Bye.